A Wild Christmas Story. All was quiet and on the edge of being silent when a vixen screamed longingly into the winter's night. The noise she makes sends shivers down my arms, and the sun hasn't even reached the horizon yet, as 4 bells ring out joyfully from the church that's nestled between the old wood, the smoother hill that's capped off by a sweet chestnut tree that's been there longer than I can remember. A choir sing at the top of their voices and pierce the air that breaks the chill. The heartfelt songs carry over the fields and flood the wood with warmth. The moon is a pencil line from being full as it parades its light without the need for fairy lights or draped in tinsel to shine. As fast as the sun fell, the stars have started to show up in the inky sky. The stars twinkle like they always do, but tonight they seem a little sharper and brighter, staring up at Polaris as a thin veil of cloud drifts across. The clouds roll in one after another until the pinkish clouds engulf the stars and the moon. A perfect flake of snow falls silently and lands on the ground in front of me. One by one the army of frosty flakes invade the scene, and it's not long before the ground is plastered and the tops of the trees look like Christmas puddings dipped in fresh cream. As if on cue, the original bird of Christmas card sings iconically from a postbox coated in cotton-like snow, like it's been knitted on. His voice, like the choir's, is as sweet as the chestnut tree. He'll sing well into the night and all the way through to bring in the light to wake this Christmas day. They don't know it's Christmas, but it feels like they do. I meander down the track that divides the fields until I'm stopped by the grace of an owl, and not just any owl. It's the sight of the ghost owl gliding through the onslaught of snow and lit up by the flickering moon that's fighting its way through the flurries. With broad-rounded wings, she flies without a ruffle or a care, until she perches up on a broken post as she tries her best to upstage the robin with the perfect winter scene. I turn to wipe the winter blast out of my face, and as I look back, she's gone. I make my way over the field as my feet crunch crisply, making that sound that evokes the most joyous memories of childhood snowy days off school. Warm lights guide my path towards town. All the houses are well dressed in their finest winter disguises. One house has gone all out with every colour and decoration imaginable, providing a backdrop to a perfectly placed tree with all the razzle and dazzle glowing from a star at its highest point. A stocking that's pinned to a shelf is filled to the brim with tiny presents, and a wreath laden with berries has pride of place on the front door. Tinsel sparkles in oily blue and woodland fire red as it strangles the tree hiding underneath the baubles and transparent glass stars. In front of this impressive homage to the season sits a fox. He's dressed immaculately in his finest winter coat as the snow gathers around his thick, bushy tail. His eyes flicker like the flame from a candle as he stares at the stranger in front of him. He shakes his coarse fur as snow flies off in all directions, away from the chaos inside the home on the eve of Christmas. This winter fox looks at peace until a delivery van rolls up, and hastily the fox skulks away between the inflatable snowman and the cut-out gingerbread man, with a flash of brilliant white from his tip of his tail as the last thing to disappear into the darkness. One by one the Christmas lights go off, the fairy lights turn off, and bright Santas turned from a joyful red to a dim darkness, with the only lights from a church remaining on. The razzle and the dazzle of the star sits at the highest pinnacle, and a cardboard plaque with "This way to Bethlehem" points in the direction of a nativity scene lit up in gold. A little mouse-like bird scurries with flickered wings across the top of the stable. The tiniest of songsters screams out its chaotic song and hits the highest notes of the final trill in perfect timing with the bells that have now reached 12 peals. Now the wren is finished serenading the night with its song. It's time to move on, as Christmas Day has officially begun. The people are gathered in the church as their voices raise up and breathe beautiful harmonies all around, which momentarily warms my freezing face. I can still hear a faint hallelujah being sung as I head down the path that leads through a corridor that's enclosed with ivy. I hear the rushing water waiting at the end like a carol singer being called to midnight mass. The flanks of the river are lit up by Dickensian-style street lamps that flood the water with a glow like the final embers of a fire. An otter leaves the icy water and sits up high on a rock. She looks around as the flurries turn to blizzards. Flake after flake lands on her head until it rests softly on the edge of her nose. And she's gone, back into the freezing dark river and away as the bells reach 4 warming chimes. The wind from the west goes in and sends the snow swirling high above the river and around the surrounding rooftops. When all else fails, I'll follow the water until the bend takes me back to the track that leads down to the wood. The snow releases its hold on the night as the clouds disperse one by one until the moon smiles down again, as do the stars that shine at their brightest in the hour before dawn. For a moment I swear I can hear Twinkle Twinkle Little Star being played on an old piano, but it's been a long, long, long night. 3 roe deer carefully tread across the back of an old football pitch that's bathed in white. Their sooty black noses shimmer, but there's no shining red nose to light the way. The dim street lamps beams onto their autumnal rusty coats and shows the heart on the rear in all its glory. An incredibly early dog walker spooks the deer, and one by one they gallop and leap. All they need is a sleigh behind them, and they would be perfect for this night. A stroke from a watercolour brush paints twilight blue across the sky and erases the stars and begins to wash out the moon as the sweetest 7 bells chime out, each one more charming than the last. The world is waking up on this Christmas morning. Neurotic alarm clocks filter through bedroom windows as curtains are flung open and doors are slammed one by one. The excited sounds of children waking to find that the night has brought a ton of snow and dumped it into the gardens, as heartfelt as any chorus from any choir or bird. Joyful squeals roll up and down the road. Frozen hands will soon be busy building a new snowman, quaintly dressed with a scarf and the nearest woolly hat. The sun peeps and creeps over the top of the church as it's past the highest pinnacle that's lit up in gold. Its light shatters into the fresh snow, sending it into shimmering, bejewelled wonderland as a robin again sings out his signature song. Further along, as the houses and church become smaller, the scape opens up to a vast network of fields. Golden rays of light tickle the sloped field that's buried in icing sugar snow. My cheeks have turned a rosy shade of bullfinch pink as a skylark sings on umbrella wings high above the field. A hare stands alert next to a solitary tree. Her ears are pushed up as she raises her body even further. Out of nowhere, a second hare powers on crazy legs into the centre of the field. The hare leaves her station at the tree and hurtles towards the other one. They launch at each other like ferociously playful dancing. The snow flies around and sparkles against the rising sun as small clumps of fur flies. Like a traditional snow globe that's been shook up, with the 2 hares pirouetting in the middle of a snowy dance floor. Big, broad and rounded paw prints are pressed firmly into the snow. They are the telltale signs that a badger has not long passed through. The prints lead in the direction of the comforting wood that hides behind the slope. There's no snowman or dazzling lights strung up on trees, just the sight of a winter wonderland stretched out as far as I can see, as the barely visible pinkish moon sets behind the hares, the field and the lone tree. Not bleak, just beautiful, and no need to dream of a white Christmas in this reality. Merry Christmas, everyone.